Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Hulu show based on true story left fans broken by the weight of what can't be undone. Good American Family is based on the real-life story of Natalia Grace, but the fictionalized version of the tale is leaving fans absolutely crumbling. Good American Family is a Hulu limited series based on the shocking case of the adoption of Natalia Grace by Christine and Michael Barnett that is told from multiple points of view. Ellen Pompeo and Mark Duplass play the Barnetts, while Imogen Faith Reed plays Natalia. Ukrainian native Natalia, who was born with a form of dwarfism called dystrophic dysplasia, was adopted by the Barnetts with their 3 biological children in 2010. The Indiana couple, who were her second adoptive parents, alleged that Natalia was not actually a child but was an adult and accused her of harming them and the family, which Natalia has denied, as well as maintained she was a child. Natalia was also medically proven to have been a child then and had her birth year of 2003 restored in August 2023 as a result of medical tests and DNA analysis. Christine and Michael had Natalia's age legally changed to 22 after a court ruling. The couple then ended up leaving Natalia by herself with an apartment in Indiana and left with their 3 boys to Canada. In the 7th episode of the series, the show brought the conflicting narratives of the adoptive parents and Natalia together, specifically through the new perspective of the fictional detective Drysdale, Dulé Hill. Drysdale is based on the real-life detective Brandon Davenport, who played a role in investigation of Natalia's case. Fans were heartbroken and angry by the emotionally charged episode. One fan wrote, "This episode broke something deep inside of me. Everything I thought I understood fell apart, and all that's left is the weight of what can't be undone." A second fan wrote, "The way this Good American Family story turned is crazy." Another said, "It's infuriating what these grown-ass folks did to this little girl." One fan was confused by the different perspectives the show was doing and wasn't sure what was true. The writers on #GoodAmericanFamily spent 3 episodes convincing us that Natalia Grace was an adult, a menacing one at that. Scene after scene, they had her torturing the family. Now they're walking it back. Suddenly, the parents are the villains. I'm so lost. Within the 7th episode, Michael confessed to Drysdale that he and Christine knew Natalia was a minor when her age was legally changed, and that Christine abused Natalia. At that point of Michael's admission, he and Christine were divorced, and his estranged ex-wife was keeping their sons away from him. Michael's confession led to the couple being charged with neglect and conspiracy to commit neglect. In real life, the Barnetts were charged with neglect of a dependent and conspiracy to commit neglect of a dependent in 2019. An Indiana judge had dismissed the case because of Grace's legal age, but prosecutors then brought up new charges of neglect involving Grace's dwarfism disability, per the Journal and Courier. Michael was acquitted in October 2022, and Christine's charges were dismissed in March 2023. The last episode of the limited series will air on Wednesday, April 30, and will be available to stream on Hulu. There are stories that shake us, but then there are stories that leave us hollow, like The Breath Never Came Back. Hulu's latest critically acclaimed drama, Stillwater, based on the haunting real-life tragedy of the Caldwell family, is one such tale. A 6-episode limited series that doesn't so much build tension as it burrows it into your chest. Stillwater tells a story so intimate, so drenched in truth, that it left viewers emotionally gutted and questioning how we're supposed to go on after something so irreparably broken. Stillwater begins with warmth. The kind of deceptive warmth that only makes the eventual cold hit harder. The small Minnesota town the Caldwells call home feels like a postcard come to life: glistening lakes, community potlucks, a high school football team worshipped like saints. But underneath the surface, something trembles, something always has. Told in non-linear fashion, the series traces the life of Claire Caldwell, played with staggering nuance by Elizabeth Moss, a mother of two and a high school English teacher whose quiet resilience makes her an instant anchor for viewers. Through home video footage, voiceovers from old therapy recordings, and fragmented memories, we're invited into a life that once was. When it does happen, Hulu doesn't flinch. Midway through the second episode, viewers are confronted with the tragic event that transforms this sleepy town forever. The disappearance of 17-year-old Mason Caldwell, Claire's son, after leaving a school bonfire one autumn night. The show doesn't give us the neatly tied knots we crave in mysteries. Instead, it leans into the cruel ambiguity of real life. No suspects, no body, just the cavernous ache of a mother waking up each day into the nightmare of not knowing. The rest of Stillwater is less a procedural and more a portrait of grief, of community decay, of the quiet and excruciating things people do to cope. Claire keeps her son's room exactly the same. Her husband Tom grows increasingly distant, finding solace in late-night drives to nowhere. Their daughter, Emmy, just 13, begins slipping away, trying to become invisible in a town that won't stop staring. But what makes Stillwater stand apart isn't just its depiction of loss. It's how it reveals the ripple effects of a single moment, and how every action, every word, every silence adds to the unbearable weight of what can't be undone. Critics have praised the show's refusal to provide tidy answers, and that's because Stillwater is based on the true story of the Mallory family from Duluth, whose teenage son went missing in 1996 under eerily similar circumstances. The show was developed with the blessing, and occasional consultation, of Claire Mallory herself, who has since become an advocate for missing persons nationwide. But she insisted that the show not simply be about what happened, but about what happened after. And that's where the heartbreak truly lies. In episode 4, perhaps the series' emotional apex, Claire records a message to her missing son. "I don't know if you're still 17 wherever you are, or if you've grown older without me," she says, voice cracking, "but I will always remember the sound of your feet running down the hallway." It's a moment not written for shock, but for silence. The camera holds, the air stills, time doesn't move, and neither do we. Fans have taken to social media in droves, posting their own responses, their own stories of unresolved loss and buried hope. The hashtag Stillwater Hulu trended for days after the finale aired, with one user writing, "I didn't expect to be torn apart like this." It's not just about grief, it's about the grief that lingers because there are no answers, the grief that grows teeth. Others shared how the show forced them to reach out to estranged family members, finally write that long-postponed letter, or even return to therapy. And isn't that what the best art does? It holds up a mirror, not to who we are in our best moments, but who we are when the lights go out. Director Ava DuVernay, who helmed the project with signature grace and aching humanity, said in an interview, "We weren't interested in melodrama. We were interested in truth, and truth, when it comes to unresolved tragedy, is rarely satisfying. It's mostly just heavy." The final episode doesn't offer a revelation or a rest. Instead, it shows Claire lighting a candle in the woods where Mason was last seen. She sits alone, shivering in the cold, as the camera pulls back, slowly, until she's a speck in a sea of black trees. It's a devastatingly beautiful ending that says everything it needs to say without uttering a word. There's no resolution, there's no peace, only the weight. And that's what has fans feeling broken, not because the show is cruel, but because it was honest. Because in real life, the truth doesn't always arrive. Sometimes it's just the waiting that remains. In the weeks since its release, Stillwater has inspired thousands of new donations to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Support groups have used clips from the show as conversation starters. High schools have begun implementing safe return protocols during events. Art, in this rare case, did not just reflect life, It changed it. But for many, the show's impact is personal. It reminded me of my cousin Lily, who vanished in '03. One viewer posted, "It's not just the not knowing, it's the not being able to move on." Watching Stillwater was like bleeding in sync with someone else for the first time. For all its pain, Stillwater gives us something else, too, a flicker. A small light in the void that says maybe we're not alone in our unspoken suffering. Maybe the silence is shared. Maybe the weight isn't ours alone to carry. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough.